Right now on Our Indiana,
we take a look at a new partnership between the Big Ten Network and Riot Games.
and we get the scoop on some Big Ten champions. Plenty of exciting things happened around Indiana University, and we've got you covered. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Our Indiana. I'm Jordan Burrows.
And I'm Nicole Christine. We begin tonight with a look back at IU men's basketball's surprise-filled senior night. In a senior night thriller, IU defeated Northwestern 63-62 on Saturday. The Hoosiers ended the first half with a half-court shot from Devontae Green that brought fans to their feet. The game came down to a last-second and one from Thomas Bryant to seal the senior night victory for Indiana. And we can't forget to mention senior Colin Hartman's proposal to longtime girlfriend and IU cheerleader Haley Daniel during his senior speech, certainly leaving his Hoosier legacy with that moment.
For the first time in 5 seasons, the IU track and field men's team were crowned Big Ten champions. The hardware belongs to the Hoosiers now as they defeated Penn State by 28 points. During the indoor track meet, Indiana finished with 112 points, and Penn State, the runner-up, finished with 84. Daniel Kuhn set a school record with his 600-meter, finishing with a time of 1 minute and 15.23 seconds, and Eric Bethea took the gold medal in the triple jump at 15.95 meters. On the other hand, the women's team also did a fantastic job and finished in 5th place, their best finish since 2011. It may have taken 2 overtimes, but the Indiana women's basketball team was able to get the job done as they narrowly defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes on senior night 80-77. It was the junior Tyra Buss who led the way for the Hoosiers with 21 points, 5 of 9 from three-point land, and she surpassed the 1,500-point mark. Senior Jen Anderson recorded 20 points and grabbed 6 boards. The game was close the whole way through with both teams going on point-scoring runs. When it came down to the wire, it was Amanda Cahill who buried a triple of her own. In traffic with just .6 to go on the clock, the three edged Indiana into overtime. In the second overtime, Indiana held Iowa to just 4 points. Next up for the Hoosiers is the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis, where they are awarded with a double bye.
IU baseball's second weekend of competition was filled with all possible results: a victory, a loss, and even a tie. The Hoosiers traveled to Boca Raton to take on Florida Atlantic for a 3-game series, the first of which ended with an 8-4 win for IU. Saturday's game had the opposite result, with IU falling to FAU 2-6. Then on Sunday, the two teams ended the game in a 6-6 draw. Big Ten Freshman of the Week Jake Matheny had a team-high 3 hits and also scored a run in the tie. IU's water polo finally got a weekend at home, and it came out of it undefeated. The Hoosiers started their weekend with an exhibition win over Carthage on Friday, 14-2, and another victory over McKendree Saturday morning, 18-4, before taking on their biggest opponent of the weekend in 25th-ranked Cal Baptist. In that matchup, junior Sarah Young led the attack with a career-high 5 goals. Freshmen Joelle Nkuzi and Molly Williams also brought in multiple goals for the team, and the Hoosiers won the game 13-6. Next up, Indiana gets back on the road for the Harvard Invitational.
25 times that is, that the Indiana University men's swimming and diving team has captured the Big Ten title. The number 4 ranked Hoosiers went wire to wire, winning the conference championship last Saturday at the McCorkle Aquatic Center in Columbus, Ohio. This is the first time since 2006 that the Hoosiers have come away victorious. IU finished with 19 medals, 12 of which were gold, and 4 of those gold medals were collected by swimmer of the championship, sophomore Vinny Lanza. Indiana wrapped up the team title by finishing with 1,504 points, while rivals Ohio State and Michigan finished with 1,382 to tie for second. The Big Ten championship was one of Indiana's best meets in school history as they broke 14 school records.
Here at IU, there's an exciting sporting culture emerging among students. This one, though, involves a computer screen and an online community rather than a field and a physical match.
Within a society that constantly consumes sports like basketball and football, there is a new phenomenon taking over: esports. The competitive gaming sensation provides professional and amateur gamers with a platform to develop their skills and, at the professional level, compete for regional and world titles. Professor of Media Edward Castronova lists multiple upsides to esports.
competitive gaming like this is shown to really heighten people's awareness and their coordination, and it certainly is fun in the same way that basketball games are fun. So we see this as a net positive thing.
Gamer John Mundell explained esports as an alternative to traditional sports, which not everyone is cut out for.
Well, obviously, it's less dependent on your physical abilities, and I think it kind of like lowers the barrier for who is able to compete at the highest levels.
Mundell is part of IU's League of Legends club. League of Legends is an online battle arena video game in which 2 teams of 5 compete against each other. The game has grown immensely in popularity since being released in 2009 and is now the most played PC video game in the world, with over 100 million players each month.
League of Legends has grown so popular that it's even caught the attention of the Big Ten Network. In January, BTN announced its partnership with Riot Games, the creator of League of Legends. The two are going to combine to create the League of Legends college season, in which Big Ten university clubs compete against each other in a season-long competition.
This partnership is a direct example of how the future of traditional sports and the future of esports are more intertwined than some may think. For Our Indiana, I'm Nicole Christine.
Next, we take a look at what Indiana basketball fans think of their Hoosiers on the court.
And we have an exclusive interview with a doubles team making their mark in the NCAA.
All coming up on Our Indiana.
Hi, I'm Sage Steele of ESPN. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to Our Indiana.
IU basketball has one of the best student sections in the country, and that's thanks to the faithful fans who show their support game after game.
Our Indiana's Austin Girardelli heads to the streets to get some input from the students themselves in a new segment called Hoosier on the Street.
In sports, fans play a very crucial role in determining the outcome of an event. A perfect example of fan support factoring in success is right here in Bloomington, Indiana with the men's basketball team.
Down the floor, Robert Johnson lobs it into Toe! What an alley-oop pass by Robert Johnson!
Sure, they don't pass, dribble, or score, but fans are still very important to the outcome of the game. Today, I was fortunate enough to talk to a few of the nearly 50,000 students that make up the IU fan base. What are your feelings about this year's basketball team and how they performed?
Well, I'm a little bit upset. You know, I was having higher expectations, I guess, for the year. Being a senior, I was hoping for some better things.
The game last night against Northwestern, the buzzer beater was pretty sick to end the first half.
Throws it up from half court. Oh! It went in!
Do you feel like anything else is attributing to the failure that they've had this season?
Well, I think frankly they were underwhelming before the injuries. There was sort of a little bit more of a calmness because you just thought, oh, they're so talented and they beat Kansas and North Carolina, so eventually they'll get it together, but really they weren't.
And you say you saw the Colin Hartman proposal. What did you think of that?
I saw it actually on social media like Instagram and SportsCenter. Posted it, sent it all to my friends. I'm like, oh my God, look how cute this is.
A lot of injuries and a lot of close games that I thought that we'd just dominate the other team. Either we win by a point or lose by a point. Overall, you know, I'm an IU Hoosier, born and raised in Indiana, so I'll always be a basketball fan, an Indiana University fan, but this season was definitely one of the more disappointing ones.
Many fans will agree that fan support is the ultimate key to bringing the Hoosiers back to greatness.
Indiana wins it. What a way to start the season.
For Our Indiana, I'm Austin Girardelli.
The Hoosiers will be back in action again on Tuesday as they travel to West Lafayette to face their longtime rival, Purdue.
2 weekends ago, Madison Appel and Kim Schmider defeated the #1 ranked doubles team in the country.
Now this duo is ranked 19th in the NCAA and found the time to sit down with our Indiana's Tyler Sorg for an exclusive interview.
Thanks, Jordan. Madison and Kim, thanks for being here. The two of you are 21-2 on the season, and that's a very impressive record in its own. But this is actually the first year you guys have been teamed up. So take me back to the very beginning of this relationship. How did your partnership come to be?
So I'm a senior and Madison's a sophomore, and last year we actually had completely different partners. She played with a girl called Danielle and I played with a girl called Steph. And then this year our coach decided to mix things up. Obviously those two players actually left, so we needed to find a new partnership. So our coach decided to give us a try, and then it kind of went really well right from the very start, and it's just gone from there really.
So did the two of you expect to find success so quickly?
I don't think we were necessarily looking for success. I think once we got paired in practice, we played a few sets, realized that we had a great potential. I mean, I set her up at the net. She loves being aggressive at the net. I love being aggressive from the baseline. So we just work really well together, and I think over time we started to realize that success was in reach, and we realized how good we could be. So.
And from the beginning, was the partnership something that came naturally?
I mean, I don't think we originally thought we would ever be paired. We're completely opposite singles players, so when we heard we were going to be paired, we were just like, oh, we'll just go with it, play a few sets, and we realized, wow, we actually have good chemistry together. We work really well together, and then we played a few tournaments, was undefeated, went into regionals, ended up getting semifinals as a rookie, and we just been playing well ever since. So. Yeah.
So, Kim, take me to what it was like building chemistry. How was it at the start? Was it something that came natural, or something that started to build over time?
I feel like we've always had a good chemistry. Obviously, we were friends off the court. We're good teammates. But when we're on the court, we just kind of have a bond. We know what the other person's going to do, and we just have fun on the court. And I think that really contributes to how well we actually do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's actually go back to your match against the #1 team from Kentucky. So of course you defeated them 6-4. In the time leading up to the match, did you feel any extra pressure?
I don't think we went in with any pressure. We were technically the underdogs. We hadn't had a ranking at the time. Obviously our record showed our potential, but we went in just thinking, let's just go for it. We know how good we are. We know how much potential we had. We knew we had a chance of beating #1, but we just went in playing our game, and we executed it really well, so we were happy with that.
And I've heard you talk about how you had to play a little more aggressively, and you just put it all out on the line. Was that something you had planned going in, or was that just sort of the emotion of the match that brought you to that point?
I definitely think we knew that going into the match. I mean, in practice, a few days before leading up to it, I said I was just going to be really aggressive from the back. She was going to look to move. We practiced it a few times, and we just went in and just killed it, so we were happy with the outcome.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about how your playing styles differ.
So I'm more of a net player, so I'm the one that's poaching at the net, but I can't do my job without Madison, and Madison's the baseline player. So she just hits really hard, heavy, deep shots, and then I just wait for the right ball to move on. So that's probably why we work so well together. We're both so different players individually that we really work well together.
And like you said, you do work well together, and I'm sure a lot of that comes from your relationship off the court. Tell me what it's like.
We just are really silly with each other. I mean, we always are joking around, even in a match, even against Kentucky, going up match point, I was super nervous serving for the match, and she's just laughing, playing it off pretend you're down 40-15, really relaxed. And I think that is the same off the court. When we travel, we're laughing, we do normal things, I don't know, we're just funny. Eat food. Yeah, we eat a lot, a lot.
Yeah. So before each match, do you guys have a pre-match ritual or anything interesting you do to prepare?
Not necessarily, honestly. We go in, it's funny because all all the players on our team warm up with our doubles partners, and we actually don't warm up with each other. I warm up with my teammate Kaylin, and she warms up with her partner Natalie, and it's funny because we don't really like hitting with each other. I mean, it's funny, but that's honestly the only thing that we do before a match. But other than that, we just go in, play in our game. That's it, really.
That's great. Well, I really would like to thank you guys for being here. And for Who's That Hoosier, I'm Tyler Sorg. Back to you, Nicole.
Coming up, we sit down with one of the IDS baseball reporters to discuss this season's outlook.
We'll also give you a look at the week ahead for IU Athletics. All up next on Our Indiana.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to Our Indiana.
With IU baseball season starting up, there's a lot to talk about regarding the team and its upcoming games.
Our Indiana's Brad Davis and Joe DiBenedetto sat down with IDS reporter Taylor Lehman to find out what to expect this spring.
Thanks, Nicole. Welcome back to our second edition of Cream vs. Crimson. I'm Joe DiBenedetto. Alongside me is Brad Davis. And joining us today is good friend and colleague from the IDS, IU baseball and football reporter Taylor Lehman. How you doing, Taylor?
Doing well, Joe. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well.
Pretty good.
Let's get right to it. IU baseball returning from a trip to Florida. What do you think of IU baseball season so far and how they're doing?
Well, I mean, so far their hitters, they're fairly inconsistent. Their batters are. Craig Didolo, he had a rough start at the beginning, had a home run Sunday, and they're 3-3-1. You don't usually see a tie this early, but I mean, the young pitchers, young rotation, they're pitching well, keeping teams, really good teams that are regional winning teams in 2016, down to few runs. So I mean, pitching rotation is looking good after losing the entire rotation over the offseason, and the bats just need to get going. That's pretty much what it's down to right now. They need to get some timely hits and bring in some of those runs.
And talking a little bit more about the young guys, Jake Matheny, he's been really impressive in his debut, of course. He won Big Ten Player of the Week. What have you made of him so far?
He's been switching in and out with Ryan Feynman. Ryan Feynman, sophomore catcher, played every single game last season. So he's really got a lock on that starting catching spot, but Jake Matheny's making a run for it. I mean, he started at catcher on Sunday and with Brian Hobby pitching, and he's in his first collegiate game, he hit 2 home runs. He's going to be a home run hitter. He led the team in 3 hits Sunday, and whenever they need somebody to ignite the bats, he's usually the guy to do it. So he's going to see himself in the starting lineup quite a bit, whether it's DH or whether it's catching. He's good behind the plate, strong arm. He threw out a guy on Sunday. Jake Matheny's very, very mature for a freshman.
Let's talk pitching. We lost Kyle Hart last year to the MLB. How is that going to affect the program this year, losing him and having that absence?
I mean, it's huge. I was talking to Coach Chris Lemonis before the season started. He said replacing Kyle Hart it's not just on the field, it's off the field. It's replacing a guy in the locker room, somebody that leads the team. And right now on the field, Jonathan Stever appears to be the guy. I mean, he's in 11 innings. He's been the Friday starter in 11 innings. He's given up 2 earned runs, one run against number 5 Oregon State, and then 1 against a strong Florida Atlantic team. So he has the stuff. He has the fastball. He builds off the fastball, just like most of the rotation does. But his demeanor is really what makes him the ace of this rotation, and really what makes him parallel with Kyle Hart is just his charisma off the field that could be a struggle as far as getting a leader that Kyle Hart was. And you know, Kyle Hart was on the 2013 College World Series team. You can't really replace something like that in one season, but Jonathan Stever appears to be the guy on the field that can really be that Kyle Hart-esque guy.
And this team thought that maybe they were going to have to replace Craig Didolo as well, drafted by the Pirates, but he came back. What do you kind of make of that decision?
Craig Didolo said that when he got drafted, he was excited, and part of him wanted to go to the MLB, and part of him also wanted to stay at IU. And he said if 100% of himself didn't feel like he wanted to go pro, then he was going to stay at IU, and he's going to work on a few things. He's hit 3 home runs already this season, so he's definitely finding he's clicking now, and it's something that's really important for this team for Craig Dieterlo to be able to bat well. But yeah, his decision, he said it was pretty much just he didn't feel ready to go pro yet, and I know Logan Sauer said that he was very excited that he was able to come back because he's huge. He was the only batter to bat over 300 last season for IU, so I can see him doing that again this season for sure.
Well, I know I'm sure excited to go to Bart Kaufman Field this year. Quickly before we switch it over to football, let's talk IU baseball's final season prediction. What can we expect for the season? For postseason hopes, you know.
Okay, I guess my prediction this season has been 5th in the Big Ten. I mean, when it comes down to the rotation, you got to save those arms. They're all 2 of them are sophomores and 1's a junior, and Brian Hobby's the junior. And when it comes to those arms, they're not used to taking this type of a beating. So towards the end of the beginning of the season, they're going to be pitching well, but towards the end of the season is when you're really probably going to see them struggle. So I would say later in the season they'll probably give up some more runs, and if their bats can't get going, then that could be a real struggle. But I see their bats going well. I see the offense not being a problem this season, but I do see them finishing 5th, which is 1 spot ahead of where they were last season when they were 6th in the Big Ten. So it's an improvement. I think it's another one of those transition years. I think Logan Sauer is going to be the offensive leader next season, and Jonathan Stever really being the ace next season as well. So it's going to be a good season for IU, but not too good. It's going to be one of those, like I said, a transition year.
All right. Well, quickly, any quick words about what we can look forward to for spring ball for IU football, really quick?
Yeah, IU football, looking at the quarterback position, I mean, Richard Lago hasn't exactly locked down the starting spot as the quarterback. So Peyton Ramsey, he's a redshirt freshman. He could possibly take the spot. Nick Tronti, the true freshman out of Florida, he's Mr. Florida football winner. So some other guys that have won that award, Dalvin Cook, Tim Tebow, I mean, those are some big names to be mentioned with. So they're just looking at the quarterback spot. I would say watch those 3 guys. The running back spot, Camion Patrick, he's, from what the coaches have been saying, he's huge. Like, he's a great athlete, one of the best specimens that they've seen in an athlete on that football team in recent years. And that's the likes of Tevin Coleman, Jordan Howard. So I would say watch those guys. I mean, Dylan McCullough, he did leave for USC, but I think that was a little bit evident. I think he was going to be leaving, even if Kevin Wilson was the head coach. I think Dylan McCullough was looking at other jobs. But yeah, mostly on the offensive end, those 2 spots, and the defense, a lot of players returned. So a lot of the same for the defense, I would expect.
So I'll tell you what, we'll get you back on the show come spring ball time. But for now, that's all the time we have. Taylor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For now, that's Cream and Crimson. For myself, I'm Joe DiBenedetto. Brad Davis, thank you very much.
That's almost all from us tonight, but before we sign off here, let's fast forward and take a look ahead at this week for IU Athletics.
Amani Keith joins us now with more.
Thanks, guys. This week is jam-packed with games, starting with the men's basketball team. Tomorrow, the men face off against our rival Purdue at 7 p.m., and Saturday, the team heads to Ohio State. Tip-off is at noon. As the women's basketball season comes to a close, they head to Indianapolis on Wednesday for the Big Ten Championships. The tournament will last until Sunday. Tournament details are to be announced. The men's baseball team heads to Cincinnati Wednesday to face off against the Bearcats. Following that, they head to Sanford for the Sanford Classic this weekend. And finally, the women's water polo team are in for a full weekend as they travel to compete in the Harvard Invitational in Boston. Friday, they face off against UC San Diego, Saturday against Iona, and Sunday against Wagner. And of course, all of these results can be found on IUathletics.com. That's all I have for you this week. Back to you guys.
That's all we have for you this week on Our Indiana.
Tune in next week for all of your IU Athletics coverage. Thanks for watching.